Hello, everybody, and welcome to this quick pre-call takeaways from the HIMSS second quarter earnings. The stock was down 13%, headline reaction. It's already recovering, actually, and it's down like only 8% now. So the stock was down a little bit. There's a few reasons as to why. I'll get to that in a second. But the numbers overall, the trajectory, the year-over-year trajectory, in my view, looks stunning. The revenue growth is at 73%. Of course, we are well into operating leverage, 220% increase in net income. On this channel, I care mostly about adjusted EBITDA. Adjusted EBITDA is my proxy for cash flow. That is still up 109% year over year. EBITDA and cash flow are down a little bit this quarter because of their investments in innovation. And so you can see, of course, in the cash flow and the free cash flow, you can see these measures are much more impacted by the day-to-day spend. The number of subscribers growing on the platform is 31%. This is still excellent. This is in line with what was to be expected pre-GLP-1, minus GLP-1. We would have expected this number of subscribers. What that tells us is that really the average basket, the average spend has increased more than the number of customers. We have well over 2 million members now, and so it's getting a little harder for them to attract new customers. Much of the increase in revenue has had to do with the higher basket, the higher spend, and of course you see that here, monthly online revenue per average user, that's up 30%. So when you add this up, when you mix this up, you end up with a company who's squarely in the hyper growth segment. A few qualitative takeaways from this quarter is personalization has increased, albeit not nearly as fast as in the past, but they keep increasing the number of customers who are on a customized plan, whether it's a custom pill, a custom dosage, personalized dosage. Why do they push customization? Because if you have a custom treatment, you are likely to have better outcomes. If you have, say, a pill that includes everything you need, if you have something that's custom to you that has fewer side effects, you're likely to have better outcome. If you have better outcome, you're likely to continue taking the pill, whatever pill you need to access better health. And if you continue taking the product, then you have better retention, more people on the platform. HIMSS wins. That's the flywheel. The more subscribers you get, the more data you get, the more personalized products you can give, and the better outcomes you get. And so you have word of mouth and more subscribers. This is the classic flywheel, right? Introduced by Jim Collins in Good to Great in the late 90s. That was a big Amazon thing, and that's why most businesses today have a flywheel. At least 21st century businesses have a flywheel. I can't speak for 20th century businesses. Great thing about international expansion. So, of course, with much fanfare, we welcomed their entry into Canada. Thanks to the end of a patent on semaglutide, they're going to enter Canada via weight loss. This is great. There's going to be a lot of synergies with facilities in the US. You're going to be able to ship stuff. At least that's my hope. We'll see what the tariff situation does here. This slide has something outstanding, though, something new. First time I see it in a slide is longevity. Longevity may finally be coming to HIMSS, and there's a bunch of mini HIMSS websites that do longevity stuff. And so that means that I might be a customer of HIMSS, because if you follow longevity thing, you know that, for example, metformin for longevity, a lot of people who are not necessarily overweight want to get access to metformin to longevity, and I have to use this weird website, Longevity RX or something, to get access to my metformin. Dr. Sinclair, for example, #1 book in genetics, I don't want to say recommends because he recommends nothing, but he talks about metformin all the time. Longevity field, there's millions of people who follow that field. If HIMSS is able to provide something with, say, spermidine, with metformin, there's a few other things, resveratrol, if NMN, we'll see what happens with NMN, but there's a handful of compounds and people who want to pay a lot of money to get the longevity stuff. If they get the longevity offering, that will be very big. And I'm very happy about them entering that field. Hormone therapy, of course, HRT, that's going to be a big thing. They started with women's and menopause. I made a video about that. They're going to launch HRT. They're going to be able, and HRT being the medical term for testosterone, they're going to be able to do testosterone thanks to their blood tests and the Tribe acquisition. So that's going to be a big deal. We are building this company beyond just weight loss. This is not just a weight loss story, but unfortunately, there's a Wall Street's disappointment. Why is the stock down 13%? I guess now 8%. Well, the call, first of all, the call will be the tone of the stock price. The stock price will be mostly determined by the call. But there's a few mixed stuff. Short term, just this quarter, just short term in the numbers. First of all, they did not increase their guidance. Hims used to be the sandbag king. They used to always increase the guidance. I was going to expect them to increase the guidance too. They didn't increase the guidance. I guess they stuck with it, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good that they stuck with it. They reiterated. But keep in mind that former quarters, they were increasing the guidance. So that means that we may have to have a little reset in revenue, a little slowdown. And of course, it's showing in the numbers Q2 2025. As you can see, I'm going to use the term truncated. It was truncated by the earthquake that Novo created for Hims towards the end of the quarter. Novo created an earthquake. Just make an announcement and boom, we don't partner with Hims anymore. And so a lot of people think about what's going on with their advertising and everything. Like they were working so hard getting all of these new customers, and then towards the end of a quarter, you have this awful news. So the quarter was truncated. My assumption is that they lost a lot of sales whenever that Novo announcement was put in place, and their marketing probably became way less effective at that point, and they had to pivot. And that is why I believe we seeing that drop in revenue. It's not that big of a drop, by the way, right? We're still at 545 million. If you go back 2 quarters ago, Q4 24, we were at 481. So this drop is more about telling you how exceptional Q1 was, rather than telling you that it's a meaningful decline. I really believe, what happens to your marketing investments if you're like spending millions trying to promote Ozempic, right? Actual dose Ozempic, and then you can't produce it, you can't sell it. So they were hurt by Novo. Let's make no mistake right there. And of course, adjusted EBITDA is down, like I said, and that's down because of course fewer revenue and adjusted EBITDA. You're trying to remove some of the cash flow impacts of adjusted EBITDA. You're trying to be more stable over time. That's why I prefer adjusted EBITDA as a proxy for cash flow. But if you actually look at the cash flow, which is a metric I usually don't look at and don't use, they do tell us that the reason for this cash flow to be down was their investment in automation. They also probably did a lot. I mean, they did a lot of hires recently. These hires were probably fairly expensive, but they still have about $1 billion in cash. So this is a company which, in my view, is a very solid company. I'm very happy to own it for the long term. This is just a blip in the road, in my view. The thesis is as strong as ever. Think about what we're getting. We're getting hormone, we're getting longevity, we're getting Europe, we're getting Canada. There is so much to look at beyond just weight loss as future opportunities for growth. And so I love this very much. I love this quarter. Could have been better, but could have been way, way worse considering the whole Novo madness. So this was not investment advice, not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me next. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.